The year is 1665. Jean Talon sits in his office, a quill posed in his hand. He is concentrating on writing a very important letter.
His Majesty King Louis XIV. I have come to realize that the one thing New France lacks the most is women capable of bearing children. The ratio of men to women as of right now is approximately 6-1. This is an issue for our colony, as we cannot thrive if we do not have a population to sustain our vast territoire. The 13 colonies are leaping ahead of us, and it is up to us to make certain that this does not continue. It is for these reasons that I have a suggestion. It is in our best interest that we implement an immigration policy. My suggestions are as follows. We need to encourage immigration to New France. The immigrant groups that I feel we should focus on are firstly, the engagés, men coming over to work for 3 years who are then offered a lot on a seigneurie. The small criminals with minor offenses who are offered a new start in New France as an alternate to jail. Soldiers, a return for their loyalty to the colony. The officers will be offered a seigneurie, and the soldiers will be offered a lot on a seigneurie. Most importantly, however, are the filles du roi. These should be orphans of very poor young women who will be brought to New France to marry and have children, therefore increasing the birth rate and sustaining our population growth. I thank you for your consideration, and I hope you will agree with these recommendations, as I feel this is exactly what our colony needs. Sincerely, Jean Talon, Intendant of New France.
A knock is heard at the door of a small orphanage in New France. Sister Madeleine, one of the nuns, opens the door and stands, blocking the entrance to this unexpected stranger.
Hello, how can I help you?
I have been sent by King Louis XIV to inform you of some orphans who have been seen deserving. They have a unique opportunity. If they so choose, they will be brought into New France, all expenses paid by the king himself.
But these girls are not fit for a life in the fur trade. What would they be doing then?
There is a sore lack of women in the colony, therefore the population cannot survive. Surely these women have been raised well by a nun such as yourself. The intendant, Jean Talon, has requested King Louis to send over as many young, healthy women as possible to be married and bear children.
Very well, come this way.
The king sent men to gather not only orphans, but farm girls as well, and any other women who could be seen as industrious and would help increase the population of New France. The travel to New France would be financed by the king, and the girls were given hope chests that contained items the girls would need for their new lives. Before they even left, they were given money to purchase a new outfit in which to greet their potential grooms.
The women selected were known to have a good family background or have some level of education, usually farm or town peasant girls. City girls were not usually chosen because they were viewed as slovenly, and that would not serve the purpose needed to be fulfilled in New France. The filles du roi were not anything of the sort. This idea was falsely created by townspeople who saw the girls boarding ships to be exported by the king for behaving wrongly. However, they were not going to New France. The journey lasted 3 months, as long as the weather was permitting. It was long and treacherous, and many did not survive. Disease was common among the women due to the quick spread of bacteria and germs among the crowded and filthy conditions. Food was scarce because the voyage was too long for perishable foods, such as fruits, to keep.
After the extensive journey across never-ending ocean, the ship has finally reached its destination and unloaded the precious cargo. The filles du roi are at the port, marveling at their surroundings. They have arrived in early winter, so the trees are bare and there is much snow on the ground.
Finally, some fresh air. Although this new world is freezing. They were put under the directress's watch. She taught them how to sew, cook, and other necessities for their new lives. All right, ladies, today is the big day, the day you shall meet your grooms. We've been preparing for this day since your arrival. You must dress in your best garments to be as attractive as possible in hopes that today will be your wedding day. Any questions before we leave?
Madame, will we be permitted to ask questions to the man, or will we be selected and taken away as cattle?
But of course you'll be allowed to ask questions. But you must remember, you want a man who can support you, so he must have a house, perhaps a farm, etc.
But, Madame, what about love? What if it's not love at first sight? Won't that ruin it?
Oh, don't worry about love right now. That will come later in the marriage. I promise, right now, your concern is finding a man who can support you, has a place for you to live. Now, you must get ready. The man will be here soon.
Enchanté, mademoiselle. My name is Pierre Charron-T. Duchamp.
Hello, sir. My name is Marie-Catherine Pilat. Very pleased to be acquainted with you. When the king's daughters were to meet the grooms, they were divided into 3 rows. They were permitted to ask questions. Once a man and woman came to the mutual agreement to get married, a priest was often present, and the marriage took place right away. Soon after their marriage, they were expected to start increasing the population. Women were expected to be married within 2 weeks after training by the directress. They were to be pregnant within 6 months, or else they had to prove that they were trying. Therefore, they'd receive an examination by a nun. Marriage was considered as an economic contract. There was no honeymoon. They were not concerned about love, as they thought it would eventually manifest itself with time. It was acceptable to not love the person you were marrying, as the purpose was to have as many children as possible. Birth incentives, also introduced by Jean Talon, were created to make having a larger family more appealing. Fathers were fined if children did not marry by a certain age. Families with 10 children were granted a yearly financial compensation of 300 livres. This compensation increased with the number of children. Payments were made to couples who married. Young and single men were fined and not permitted to take part in the fur trade.
Within 20 years, the ratio of the sexes was about equal, and women were no longer outnumbered so vastly by men. Colonization was a success and New France was thriving.
His Majesty, King Louis XIV, I write you this letter to inform you of a great success. Now nearly 10 years after the execution of my immigration policies and birth incentives, we have achieved a population with a much greater balance of women to men. I am confident that this accomplishment will no doubt put us ahead of the 13 colonies in colonization and increase the empirical status of France. I owe a great deal of thanks to you for allowing this project to flourish. All credit for this outstanding colony should be given to you. I believe a celebration of the bright future of this colony is in order. Best wishes until we meet again. Jean Talon, Intendant of New France.